18.11, making food production efficient in GCSE. And this is a very short lesson because we've already described how shorter food chains make food production more efficient. We've already said that reducing the number of stages in a food chain could dramatically increase the efficiency of our food production. But there's other things we can do. For example, eating less meat would mean more food for everyone. While eating less meat is a positive step, in other parts of the world, sometimes eating meat is the answer. If we've got land that can't be used to grow crops, perhaps the gradient of the land is too steep, or perhaps the quality of the land is too poor, we can grow grass on that land that can be fed to livestock, but perhaps not grow crops. So in that case, eating meat would be acceptable. To increase the efficiency of a food chain, we can also look at the type of feed that we give to the animals. Animals that are bred for their meat grow quicker if you feed them high-protein diets. However, feeding animals to animals is not the most efficient way. Ground-up fish, for example, is often part of commercial pig and chicken feed. This adds an extra stage to the food chain, making it less efficient. So basically, humans eating plants or animals eating plants is a more efficient way to feed the population. As we mentioned in the previous lesson, artificially managed food production is the way forward because animals don't turn all the food that they eat into new biomass. They also produce feces and urea, and they respire as they move around and maintain a normal body temperature. So to get the maximum possible biomass, one of the things we can do is we can limit the movement of these animals. We can keep them in pens or cages so they can't move. If they can't move, then they're not contracting their muscles, which uses energy. And all that extra energy can be used to create biomass. Additionally, we can keep them in barns and control the temperature of the surroundings so that animals don't have to use much biomass in respiration to keep warm or to cool down. Again, this leaves much more biomass for growth. This is what happens in massive poultry rearing sheds, where most of the chickens that we eat are bred. Because of the increased demand for cheap and plentiful meat, chickens and cattle now are raised almost entirely in barns. Even if they've got plenty of space, they seem to appear to live in completely unnatural and restricted conditions. In comparison, animals raised outside grow more slowly but seem more content and have a better quality of life. As a farmer wanting to produce maximum efficiency, you may think it's better to raise your animal inside. However, we have to offset the idea of increased food production against also the cost of housing animals indoors. You have to pay for the barn itself, pay for heating and pay for lighting. You have to bring food to the animal as they're not outside grazing naturally. And all of this costs a large initial investment, and it takes some years before you get your money back. Therefore, some years before the whole system becomes profitable. We now turn our attention to farming fish. Fish is an excellent source of protein. As fish has become an increasingly sought after food, fish stocks in the sea have declined. So rather than go out and catch fish, fish farming has become more popular. The fish are often specifically bred for fast growth, and they live in cages and are fed high-protein food. Food might be made up from ground-up fish or from cereal that humans could have eaten. And the same basic principles apply. Movement for the fish is restricted. And in these conditions, the fish grow and mature very rapidly. Fish farming also helps to protect the wild stocks in the sea and produces cheap protein food. But some people have ethical concerns about the artificial conditions in which the fish are reared. So to summarise, what are the advantages and disadvantages of intensive methods of rearing farm animals and fish? So to summarise, let's create a table of advantages and disadvantages. Now compare your table to my table. And take a moment to look at the disadvantage that suggests that when animals are kept in unnatural environments, they become stressed. When they become stressed, they gain biomass at a slower rate. This can be used as one of the ethical explanations for why people are against intensive farming. So to summarise the key points of this lesson, we're saying that the efficiency of food production can be improved by restricting energy transfer from food animals to the environment. This can be done by limiting their movement and by controlling the temperature of their surroundings. Some animals are also fed high-protein foods to increase the rate of growth. However, if the demand wasn't there and the humans just ate that food instead, then food chains would be more efficient. We wouldn't need industrial farming, and there'd be enough food for everyone.